Hello, I'm Anthony David Hobbs, and this is my review of Fawlty Towers, yes, because it's 50 years old. And I wanted, 50, that's a big deal, that's a nice round number. If something is still remembered in pop culture after 50 years, well, it must be doing something right. Well, I wasn't born when Fawlty Towers was first broadcast, but I remember, yes, when I was about 8 years old, my parents recommended it to me. So that's how it works, from one generation to another. If you enjoy a show, you recommend it to your children, and they recommend it to their children, and so on and so forth, yeah. The other day I was watching a documentary about old comedy shows that have not aged well at all, and that's why they don't show them on the telly anymore, yeah. Well, Fawlty Towers has aged well. It's still a cult classic, yeah. So happy birthday, Fawlty Towers, 50 years old. Okay, my earliest memory of Fawlty Towers, I was 8 years old, and I'd never heard of it. Couldn't tell it from Adam. It was brand new to me, and I remember kids at school all talking about it. This fantastic new show. You've got to see it. Yeah. So yes, it was a big deal. Yeah, everyone watching it. Yeah, and yes, even at the age of 8, I got there's a running gag. There's lots of little jokes, but the main joke is Basil Fawlty is very rude to people, and yet he's a hotel manager. This is a hotel. People pay money to be treated nicely in a luxurious hotel, and yet he's so rude. And amazingly, the character Basil Fawlty was inspired by something that happened in real life. The Monty Python team, they were making a film in another country or something, and in the hotel, the hotel manager was so rude to people, so uncouth and mean and nasty, and they couldn't believe what they were hearing. This is the hotel manager, right? We are looking at the right person, yeah. Yeah, and yes, Fawlty Towers, Imitators, Robin's Nest, Dizzy Heights Hotel. Yes, it's part of pop culture, yeah, everywhere, yeah. And but here's the twist. Basil Fawlty, is that a real surname? Well, either way, it's a very appropriate surname because he's Fawlty. On the side next to the hotel it says Fawlty Towers, and sometimes one of the letters has fallen off, and sometimes someone's rearranged the letters, so it says Fatty Owls or Farty Towels, like that. Yes, an anagram of Fawlty Towers. So yes, that's another running gag, the sign that points to the hotel in Torquay. Anyway, Basil Fawlty, yes, he's very rude to people and uncouth and mean, but sometimes you agree with him and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you think Basil Fawlty, oh, he's an absolute idiot, he's a moron, handling the situation terribly. But other times you actually sort of agree with him. Like, for instance, if there's a difficult customer, someone that's really, really rude to him, and he's really rude back, yes, I'll give as good as I get, yeah. And one good example of this is the episode Communications Problems, when there's a mean old lady called Mrs. Richards that has a hearing aid, but she won't turn it on all the time because it might run the battery. Anyway, she's paid for the nicest room in the hotel, and she complains. There's something wrong with it. Where's the view, the sea view? And Basil's like, well, it's there. The sea's over there, between the ground and the sky. That's the sea. You call that a sea view? I can barely see it, you know. And what's that all over there? That's Torquay. What were you expecting to see through a Torquay hotel? Well, it's not good enough. That view is not good enough. And Basil says, what were you expecting to see through the window? The Sydney Opera House, perhaps, or the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, or a stampede of wildebeest running for you majestically, you know. What were you expecting? Just a customer that's impossible to please. Yeah, so in that respect, you're sort of on Basil's side. Yeah? And other times you're not, like the episode with the Waldorf salad. I'd never heard of a Waldorf salad until I saw this episode, and Basil had never heard of it either, so Sybil has to help him make one, yeah. And, well, it's human awkwardness and the culture differences, yes. There are things in Britain that no one's ever heard of, and they have a customer, an English lady married to an American man, so they have to get this exactly right, yeah. And basically, there's no chef, yes, Basil and Sybil have to do it themselves, and Basil's going crazy, like having a fit, and he can't cope in an emergency situation, yeah. There's another episode where a man has died in his sleep, so they have to get a dead body out of the hotel and do it discreetly so no one knows, otherwise it's off-putting, they won't come here again, yeah. How can you do that discreetly, yeah. Oh, yes, another thing about Manuel, the Spanish waiter. I actually saw him in real life in a play. Well, it was a pantomime, really. And he plays a character called King Rat, a man with mystical powers that can control the power of rats, yeah. Oh, how apt, because there was an episode of Fawlty Towers when a rat runs amok and causes pandemonium, yeah. But the main thing that amazed me, at the age of 8, I thought the actor that played Manuel was Spanish. No, he's not Spanish at all. Has a well-spoken British accent, so not Spanish, not at all. No, I couldn't believe it. A lot of people everywhere think that he really is Spanish. Well, he played the part very well then, yeah. And I was sceptical as to whether or not it was the same actor, but there was one small part in the play where he does a Spanish accent. He goes, yes, that's the dude that plays Manuel, definitely, yeah. And I got his autograph as well, yeah. Oh, and another connection with real life and the show. There was a teacher at my school when I was 10 years old, and he had a moustache, and he behaved just like Basil Fawlty, yeah. He looked down on people, deemed everyone else to be inferior to him, but if there were ever kids in a class that had very rich parents, he was all snidey and snivelly and like, oh, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. Yeah. He was Basil Fawlty. He was just like him. I mean, I never said it out loud, but I mumbled under my breath once, have you ever seen Fawlty Towers? Yeah. In the first ever episode of Fawlty Towers, yes, Basil is very rude to all these customers. And then a rich lord called Lord Mulberry, he's really polite and really snivelling. He even gets some people out of their table and says, no, that's reserved for Lord Mulberry. He always sits there. Yeah, so snivelly. He's one extreme or the other. Rude and uncouth or snidey and snivelly. And you don't have to be a lord if you have a respectable job like the psychiatrist, yeah. So Fawlty Towers, it has everything. It has slapstick humour when he's clipping the head over the waiter, which is very easy for him to do because Manuel's a lot shorter than him. And lots of witty banter as well. Yeah, cool one-liners, yeah. Can I help you, Mrs. Small? The Hall, Mrs. Hall. Yeah, so yes, lots of witty quips here and there. Yeah, so something for everyone, yeah. Okay, on a sensitive subject now. Is Fawlty Towers racist? Well, it depends how you define racist. Like, it's making fun of Manuel because English is not his first language, so misunderstanding, he can't understand things here and there. Or is it done in a very silly slapstick way? It's too silly to be offensive, yeah. And, oh yes, this didn't happen in the show, but in a quiz show, Manuel cameoed, and he was asked a really difficult question, and he's so stupid. Can he get it right? Manuel, what is the chemical symbol for potassium? K. A K, well done, correct, yeah. So, yes, that's quite funny, yeah. And, there's a bit when the Major, who's a regular customer, drunk half the time, yeah, spaced out, yeah, he says some really racist things with Basil Fawlty, really racial slurs. But is that racist, or is it saying because the Major is like pushing 80, and this is the mid-70s, so he was born, well, in the 19th century, so he's just talking the way he talked when he was a young man. It's just normal to him. So I don't think it's saying racism is a good thing. It's saying it's very old-fashioned. Only very old people would find that funny, yeah. And then, of course, the Germans come round, yes. And Basil has recently had a nasty bash on the head. He's had a concussion. And he's lost his tact. He's lost his manners. So he says things that he would normally keep to himself, yeah. And he says, don't mention the war, yes. I think I've mentioned it once or twice, but I got away with it, yeah. And it just comes out. He says all these horrible, nasty things about Nazi Germany here, there, and everywhere. He just can't help himself, yeah. And they're saying, will you stop saying these nasty things? You started it. No, you started it. No, you started it. You invaded Poland. And then he does the goose step, yeah, making fun of Nazis. And it reminded me of the Ministry of Silly Walks. So, yeah. The other members of the Monty Python team, they went on to great success, yes. But John Cleese was the most famous because of Fawlty Towers. Yes, he's the most memorable one, yeah. And, oh yes, on a disturbing subject, if you like, sex. Yes, Basil Fawlty forbids anyone to have sex before marriage. Yes, that's why no guests are allowed inside your room after 9 o'clock, yeah. And he greatly disapproves of sex before marriage, yeah. Is it because he thinks it's morally wrong? Or is it because he's jealous, because he's getting little or no sex in his life? Yeah, he won't openly admit that, no. In fact, here's an example of a witty quip, yeah. When he sees the psychiatrist, he misunderstands what they say. He thinks they're talking about sex. They're not. They're talking about holidays. And the two psychiatrists say to Basil, how often do you manage it? I beg your pardon? Oh, we thought you only manage it once a year or twice a year. My wife and I think you can never manage it at all. And he says, 3 times a week for your information. Yeah. Whereas the reality is Basil and Sybil sleep in separate beds. And when Basil's rude to the customers, if he's going too far, she says, Basil! Basil! Really mean like that, yeah, to get his act together. And yes, but there's one bit where Basil sort of justifies why he's rude to the customers. He says, If you think I'm going to be polite to some of the yobbos we get in here, you know. And Sybil says, this is a hotel, Basil, not a borstal, so you have to be polite to people, yeah. And, oh yes, Connie Booth plays Polly, the chambermaid. Well, I say chambermaid, she has loads of other chores to do as well. In real life, she was married to John Cleese, and she was in A Now for Something Completely Different. So she'd been in Monty Python products before this, yeah. Sadly, they got divorced, but then they got together again to write a second season, yeah. That's why there's a big age gap between season 1 and season 2, an age gap of 4 years, yeah. But season 2 did really well, to some extent, even better than the first one, yeah. But they didn't do a third one. They were offered the chance to do a third one, but they thought the season 1 and season 2 have been so good, people's expectations are going to be really high. So they decided to call it a day and leave it at that, just 2 seasons, yeah. My personal favourite episode is the gourmet one, when they have lots of upper class people come round and they're all dressed really smart. Something goes wrong. For once, it's not Basil's fault. No, they have a really good chef called Kurt, and he gets really drunk, yeah, because he's lovesick or something, so he can't cook anything, you know. So then they come up with a plan. Andre's, that's a restaurant they know, they can cook for us. Well, Andre's, the only thing they can spare is roast duck. Okay, fine, duck. So they put a new menu to the upper class people. You can have a roast duck, a duck with cherries, duck with oranges, or duck surprise. And then one of them says, well, that's all there is. Well, what if you don't like duck? Then you're rather stuck. Then, yes, you guessed it, something else goes wrong. Basil drives as fast as he can to Andre's, gets the duck, but he gets the wrong plate. He doesn't know this yet. Drives on, the car breaks down half the way to the hotel. He says to the car, get going, get going. If you don't get going, you're going to have a damn good thrashing. He gets out the car, gets a tree branch, hits the car, then gets the roast duck and runs the rest of the way to the hotel. Finally gets there. These upper class people on the brink of leaving, yeah. And he says, so sorry to keep you waiting. Here it is. He takes the lid off and it's a trifle. It's not a duck at all. He's been through all that for the wrong dish. Oh dear. And he goes, anyone for trifle? Yes, tries to save the moment. And what about the duck, Fawlty? Duck's off, sorry. Okay, yeah. So yes, there's a lot of slapstick humour with one bit where Manuel, the kitchen goes on fire, yeah. And nobody believes him because there's a fire drill going on at the same time. And lots of witty quips here and there. So yeah, something for everyone, yeah. And it's just human awkwardness. How do you cope with if something goes horribly wrong, you've got to sort it out, but do it discreetly so the customers are none the wiser. So lots of funny antics in each episode. So yes, I think a few bits and bobs, a little dated, but overall, yes, 99%, it's timeless. It's as funny now as it was back then. Okay, thank you for watching. I'm Anthony Hobbs, and I'm never bored.